Are you wanting to start a podcast show and you don't know how to get started? Or do you want to be on somebody's show and be a guest and you don't know how to find great shows? Well, I am going to show you a wonderful tool that you need in your toolbox if you're going into the podcast world. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am so excited to show you this tool. I actually had a podcast in 2017, 2018, and could not find guests to be on my show. And so after a while, I just kind of gave up and it was just no longer fun because I could not find good quality guests that wanted to be on my show. I found a lot of friends that were wonderful, but that goes so far. So I'm going to show you this tool. And it is a wonderful, wonderful thing that you can find on the web, Podmatch. Podmatch is almost like a dating service. Okay. It's almost like what they do is you have these keywords that you describe your show, or as a guest, you can have keywords that describe what your mission is. And the algorithm on Podmatch finds you people who have similar interests or missions, and it is a wonderful thing. Now, if you find a couple of matches and you're going, I don't really like that match, you can pass it on. But again, you have such good quality whenever that algorithm works. Now, connections is so important as well if you are going into the podcast world, because having connections with people will actually make it so much fun. And you are actually creating something together with your guest or with a host. You're creating something that is going to put knowledge out into the world that you both enjoy. And also, these connections will also help you with your business. So if you find somebody else that has the same mission in your business, you can learn from each other and you can actually start something new in your business after finding these connections. So connections is always important in the podcast world to keep you going with your episodes. It also helps you organize. Now, a lot of people who go into the podcast world, they do have people that work for them. They have a group, team members that help organize everything, do the editing. Well, I don't. I do everything. Okay. And so to be able to get organized, Podmatch has this wonderful dashboard, and I'm going to show you what it looks like because it really has helped me be organized in my episodes and knowing when each episode was going on. And also, it has a wonderful email that I can connect with a guest or with a host. It also allows you to create a profile, and I'm really excited about this. Not only my own profile, but whenever I look at a guest profile, that's all I need. I don't have to do much research. It's all there. And I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. And then Podmatch, oh my goodness, if you love to continue to improve, which I hope you do, especially when you start a show and you just improve all the time in your skills, it's like anything else. Well, Podmatch offers trainings and extra tools to make you more professional. And a lot of times, and you got to consider this, whenever you start a podcast show, it starts out as a habit. But these habits can turn into a full-fledged job. Just think about that, okay? You may start out small, but a lot of times this can actually turn into a job. Now, I do want to give credit to Alex, okay? Alex is the founder of Podmatch, all right? And he does all the trainings. And I love this picture because I always think about him. He's always sitting at this desk, okay? And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I know he leaves this desk, but he just looks so comfortable whenever he's doing trainings. He is such a wonderful person, somebody that you can feel like you can approach and say, hey, Alex, how are you doing? So he's very approachable and he makes things fun and he wants you to have fun. And you can tell that his passion And he knows it's a godsend, that God has put him in this pathway in his journey to help people with podcast. And I think he is doing a tremendous job. Whenever you go to Podmatch, this is what you will see. This is just the opening of it, okay? And whenever you sign in and you sign up, you can directly, sign in. So you can be a host, you can be a guest, or you can do both. All right. And I actually do both. And to make this easier, what I am actually going to do, because whenever I start, I'm going to make this easier. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and um, start as a host first. So, I'm going to look at the eyes of a host and say, what can Podmatch offer me as a host? So that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to enter this website as a host, okay? And so I'm going to go on. I've started my show and I am going to go into my dashboard. And again, this will look the same being as a guest as well, but I am a host of, Michelle's Inspiration Hour. So, and I love this to-do list. Let's look on the left side and work our way to the right, and I'll show you the different features. So the to-do list is great because there are several things that I need to do. Like whenever you connect with since I'm a host, connect with a guest, I would need to schedule that. Basically, something has happened where we've either had to cancel something, and it really keeps them right there in your eyesight, saying, you know what, I need to do something with that. Then right here we have interviews. Okay, and this is host and also guest, but I have 3 that I need to schedule, and you can tell over there. I have 9 upcoming and I have completed 57. Now that is 57 being a guest as well, not only a host. Okay. So my upcoming interviews, again, it kind of shows that hosting. So these are going to be my guests that are going to be on my show. What I like about this is it puts it in my time. I'm Central Time. So not only do I have a calendar to remind me, but when I come onto this dashboard, it also reminds me of my upcoming guest, my upcoming episodes. Okay. Then I'm going to kind of move over here, to prioritize. Okay. So matches. So this is where the dating service comes in, wherever choosing your connections. So I'm going to go ahead and see what kind of podcast host I have for my matches. And if you go up at the very top, it says that I have 3 matches. It even has a little heart. So 3 matches, and you can do, and I can't remember, I think it's 3 matches every 6 hours. I'm not for sure on my plan, but you can also explore. Okay. So if you've already hit all your matches and you're going, I want to find out more, you can also explore. So I'm going to explore all of these guest featured members who want to be guests. And there is these are the pro people. And I'm going to explain what the difference in just a few minutes that can be a big impact on you, okay, as a host. And then here's some new and noteworthy members. And so what I could do is I could also search for a keyword, like if I'm finding someone who is inspirational, like an inspirational speaker, I would put inspirational speaker up here to find my search. Okay. But this is how you can find those guests, and you can click on their profile and go into their profile and even email them if you want them to be on the show and invite them. All right. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I'm going to show you what my profile looks like in a few minutes. Right here. This is whenever you are a guest. So I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes when we get to the guest profile. Okay. Now, the average response, that means, it takes me 1 week to respond. I need to make that quicker. And then unpaid commission. This is wonderful. Okay. As a host, you can actually get paid by having different guests on, all right, different guests on your show, and you actually get a commission on it. So let me tell you that again. You can actually make money on Podmatch as a host, and it varies on how much you get paid. But each month they give you a couple, some money that is well deserved because it is hard to make a show, and I think that kind of is like the golden nugget. And anytime I get paid, it's like, woohoo! This is going to help me pay for my subscription. It's going to pay for also my editing software that I have. So it does help you a little bit at a time. So you can actually get paid by doing shows on Podmatch. Now the program does know whenever you do a show and it's completed, and it will actually ask your guest when if it's completed recording, okay, that if the interview has taken place. And then I also, have down here estimated episode releases. So I also have to put in information when each episode is going to be released. And that way, they do know whenever I have finished an episode, and then I get a commission. Now, you also get a commission if you advertise for Podmatch and somebody signs up, you get additional commission on that as well. Okay. So, and it's you have a guest, you get commission. It's very easy how this works, and you don't, and it's really nice to go in there, and so this just changed. So if I had a lot more shows going, yes, that commission would be higher, but every little bit helps, right? Okay, so then what I want to show you, okay, as a host. Over here, these are June member leaderboard. These are the top 10 people. So if you're interested and you want to ask one of these people to be on your show, you can do that. And this is a way that you also need to work towards being on this board. Okay. And I know I've gotten down to 1% before, but I have not gotten on the top 10. So that will be the day I get to celebrate. And I will come on personally and tell you I got top 10, and I will take a picture. All right. And another thing which is wonderful, especially when you first start Podmatch, Alex, remember I was telling you, Alex always has these wonderful videos, very short videos that get to the point and teach you all of these different things that you need to get started on Podmatch. And it's really nice to still have, because if you forget about something, you go back into it and it reminds you. So it's very easy friendly. So if people out there that go, I don't know anything about, computers or technology, this is very, very easy to use and a great resource, because look at all these people. If you go up here, okay, let me say that again. Your maximum estimated reach from guesting is 46,500 listeners and 89,501 social impressions. Okay, just think about that. Then over here on the right, it also shows you how to book your next ideal podcast guest without wasting time. So again, there's constantly trainings and information out there. Okay, so I'm going to show you what if I was like looking for, somebody to be on my show. Okay, I'm going to show you what the profile looks like, and absolutely love this. Okay. So I'm just going to pretend I'm not Michelle Henderson. I'm somebody I'm thinking about having Michelle on my show. Okay. So I love this as a host, because, you do all of this research a lot of times before you have a guest on. Here is all the information that you need to get started on your episode. So right here, there's a lot of times there's a video that they can put on to really show you. And it really, shows how they look on the camera, if they have professional camera equipment, their space. So that's what I always look at whenever I look at those videos, just to make sure that they are set up correctly and I'm going to get good footage. And also it just tells you about their dynamic personalities. And I tell you, each one is superb. So I can't really tell you, I've never been disappointed when I'm looking at the video. Now this guest tags, it tells you the different areas. It's kind of like they're describing themselves, what they can give to you. Okay. Then you have images, images, and which is so nice to have. Again, you don't have to do research to find it. Then you have a biography. And a lot of times, whenever I do introduce a guest on my show, I do kind of do half of it because there's so much information, but it does help me understand the guest a little bit better. And then down here on the bottom, it allows the guest to put a link to a website or an important place that they want the listeners to go to. So I always put that in the show notes. Then again, here I can always add additional information about myself, or no, about about myself, about the guest. I can read more about the guest. And then right here, here's the guest website, all of their links that I can find them on, all their social media, which is wonderful. And then right here, it says Michelle is also a podcast host. So this guest is also a host. So that really, to me, it makes it shine, because if they also have their own podcast, that means that they're going to be a pretty good guest. All right. Then the main focus, which you can main focus on your episode, and then questions that this guest is ready to answer. Now, I don't just stick with these answers. I don't go like bullet, because I want to make it more interesting, but this kind of gives me a place to start, and I go more in depth with my questions. So they may answer number one, and then I go in depth with it. So, but this kind of gets them more comfortable with you. They know what they're going to answer. You don't have to really do a pre-show review or anything, interview. So it's really nice that you've got that. Then right here, I always listen to a podcast that a future guest has been on. And it just kind of tells me, okay, now I know what is important for them to talk about, because you'll start seeing a pattern of what they talk about almost on every episode that they are in. All right. So right here, it gives the guest a chance to shine. They go, oh, I love this podcast that I was on. So they will give you the link of the podcast that they really liked. All right. Now down here, this actually gives them, you can see the reviews that they have had while they were on certain podcasts. And it's so interesting because a lot of my guests are on about the same shows that I have been on. so, again, it is a community of podcasters in the podcast world. So this also gives you, and each time as a host too, you do have a chance to review, just like what you're seeing here, review your guest. And, I have never given anyone a 1-star, because every guest I have had, I have been very impressed with. And if they're kind of uncomfortable, especially in the beginning when they first start, it's okay. I'm an educator, so I love to support that, and just know that, what, they're there, they're compassionate, they're passionate about it. And I'll really write the review like what I remember the most, what really impressed me most about this guest. So it's very, very important, okay, for you to do a review. And if you do get a guest that you really feel like you need to say something, like if you, had a difficult time with maybe equipment, maybe you say, I love this guest, but maybe they need to get better equipment, that just kind of tells them what they need to work on, because we all need to work on something. Because as a host, they're also going to review. Okay, so both of you review each other, so which is a great thing. But you know what? It's all professional, and don't take anything personal. But that kind of tells you what you need to work on. So that is actually, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So that is what the profile of a guest looks like. And again, it just takes all of the hard work that you normally do whenever you are doing the research. All right. So let's go in it as a guest point of view. So I'm going to try to change my podcast as a guest. So I'm on here, and I want to find a good show for me to be on. Okay. So also need to change that. So yes, there's a top 10 list of shows that look really good that, you know what, I may look into that. I may look at a couple of their episodes and decide to ask them for me to be on their show. Okay. So, so this is my podcast show's profile. All right. So as a guest, I'm going to go on here and see if I want to be on this show. See if the show really coordinates with me and really hits my mission statement, because as a guest, you have a mission in mind of what you want to put out into the world. And it's really important for you to find a show that helps you highlight that, makes you look good. All right. You need to feel comfortable with each show, because if you're not feeling comfortable, you're really not going to present yourself as, the professional you want to. So it's just as important to do the research on the show. And what I usually do if I am looking to be on a show as a guest, again, I watch a lot of their episodes that are out there. I see if they do a video podcast with their audio podcast. I look at see how many episodes that they have done. Now, a lot of times now, if it's very important for you to go on a show and for them to have like 100 or more episodes, sometimes that's not important. Okay. And let me tell you why. When they first start, they are so enthused about it and they want to get started, and they'll do anything to do to help you get your message out. They may not have a wide audience yet, but with each episode, if they're a great host and it's a great show, they could get famous one day, right? And you could be on it. So just think about it that way. So if you don't want to be on somebody's show that has less than 100 episodes, you may want to think twice about it. Maybe kind of do half and half, try to have that goal of finding somebody that is established. But again, it's a community. You're helping one another. I have had some wonderful, wonderful guests on my show, and I'm going, why are they on my show? And I almost get nervous, but I'm thinking, you know what? They are doing such a wonderful thing for me. And it just shows of how much passion that they have of the podcast world. Okay, so let's look at this profile. So what it does, that is my I know they call it canvas thumbnail for my show, Michelle's Inspiration Hour. And then below it has all the different keywords that I have because I use Buzzsprout. So Buzzsprout is where all my episodes come from. Okay. And that's kind of my website for that. And then ideal guest criteria. So these are the type of person that I would love to be on my show, because I feel like that is what my listeners want. So that's, if I am a guest, I'd be looking at an author. Well, I'm not an author. No, I am an author, but maybe this guest isn't. I'm not an author, but I'm inspiring and I am spiritual and I am an innovator. So maybe I'll be a great guest on this show. So, and then if you're looking for this show, look at their website. Look at how established they are. Listen to these podcasts. Go to their Facebook. See how many episodes, how active they are on Facebook. Look at their YouTube. So again, it kind of gives you, all the research about the show if you want to be on it or not. And you may look at it and be going, "Oh, I don't like their picture." Well, go ahead and listen to the podcast. You may absolutely love what their mission statement is. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard and show you. So I'm going to do some matches on the dashboard, looking for a show. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's go and explore. So I'll show you what the difference is. So I'm going to go ahead and change to a host view. And see, you get to see all the different shows that are on. And again, if you want to put in the keyword, you can put in the keyword inspirational and see what comes up. Okay. Oh, look, our spiritual life podcast. That just kind of caught my attention right there. So maybe I need to look at the show, either to be a guest or have them be on my show. But that would be one that would be good for me as a guest to look at and go, you know what? I think I need to ask them. So I can email them, and that's what's really nice. So you can actually email them once you do that. So all right. So now what I'm going to do, now you have seen the tool of the website of Podmatch, but there is more. Yes, there's actually more. Okay. So whenever I started the Podmatch and I got my subscription, and I was a guest first for the show, Alex had published two of these books. Okay. You have one for host and you have one for guest. And these are 16 successful podcast host and guest members. And they explain, the trick of the trade of either being a guest or a host. And I got an email from Alex that's saying, my wife and I want to thank you for being a part of Podmatch. And so send me, your business address. And so I did, and I received a book. And so again, that's how grateful they are at Podmatch for you using their services and the good quality of services. So you can also go to Podcast SOP. And remember, I was talking about that if you're the only one and you don't have a team, you can also help. This will help organize you. So after using this, what you can do is you can go on there and have, your episode notes for each episode that you're having for the month. And if you have, this is very vital, especially if you have two shows that you're working, so that you don't crisscross and you don't have all the information. You can upload a video, an intro to get you started. And if you are working with a team, their other team members can look at this to see what else you need to do. Have you sent an email to the guest about where they can link into your episode? Did you send a thank you letter? So it's like a to-do list, and it's all on this software. More. Yes, there's more. So Podpros, this is where I love it as an educator. Now, Alex will let you know through email whenever they offer like a full day of training. If you want to be a host or a guest, and you pick a track and you get trained, and you have, again, it's like having those books on video. And so it's really nice, but they continually give you information that will make you a better and better podcaster. So, but you can go to this website and you can also look at the videos as well. And one more thing, if you are having a difficult time getting reviews for your show, this is the place you need to be. So this is Pod Lottery. All right. And it is so cool. So you have professional podcasters. And if you have a show, you're a professional that review each other's channels. Okay. And or shows. And so it's wonderful to have. And of course, you go back and forth, and you're going to be guaranteed that your show will get more and more reviews. So I hope this information really helped you about Podmatch. Again, it just really helps to have all the resources, all the tools that you need to be a successful podcaster. So I wish you much luck and good, and just have fun being a podcaster, and just continue making the world a better place.